I'm Eric Smith, professor of rhetoric at York College. This is me being rhetorical. This is all I was going to talk about today, but in light of recent events, I decided to talk about not just rhetoric, but its evil twin, bullshit. There's an epidemic, folks. But first, rhetoric. According to Aristotle, rhetoric is this, the ability in each case to see all of the available means of persuasion. So what does that mean? What are the available means of persuasion? Well, let me give you this example. Let's say you have a really hot date, and you want to tell everybody how great it is. The means of persuasion you have in a bar on Saturday night will be different from the means of persuasion you have when talking to a child. Now, do not share your sex life with a child, all right? That's not what I'm saying. It's just an example, all right? A very stark contrast is something I was looking for. Anyway, rhetoric is a term that contains multitudes, and it can do a lot. It can start wars. It can end wars. It can induce love and hate. There's a spiritual element to rhetoric as well. Socrates, for one, said that in order to be persuasive, you had to really know the nature of the soul. The Buddha knew he had to talk to different people in different ways to lead them to the same enlightenment. St. Augustine knew that the word of God was infallible, but you need rhetoric to convey that fact to others. So this is what I love about rhetoric. This is why I do this. Rhetoric involves credibility, logic, emotion, the three pillars of rhetoric. And I think those are worth mastering and therefore teaching. However, in this day and age, there's been a bit of a devolution of rhetoric. I wouldn't even call it rhetoric. I'd call it something else that you'll hear later on. But there are these terms going on right now. Alternative facts, a euphemism for lies. Post-truth is the way we describe our current situation, a situation in which feelings trump facts. This has led me to dive into a new field in academia, a burgeoning field anyway, called tauroscatics. Let's break this down. Taura comes from the word, the Latin word taurus for bull. Scat, well, it means a lot of things, but for our situation, it means shit. Yes, this is the study of bullshit. It's real, and it's now necessary. The most popular work on bullshit is On Bullshit by the late Harry Frankfurt. Now, he distinguishes bullshit from a lie or a bluff. Bullshit has no concern for the truth whatsoever. Lies and bluffs, however, are a little different. Here's how he describes them. In order to lie, you have to know what the truth is, right? A good liar needs to know what the truth is so that he can bend it appropriately and trick you, right? Frankfurt actually says that the liar is better than the bullshitter because at least the liar respects truth. I mean, it's for dastardly reasons, but he respects truth. A bluff is different because a bluff is part of a game like poker. You're expected to bluff, right? Yes, it's deception, but it's part of the game. So it's okay deception. It's something we need to do if we're going to be good poker players, right? So that's a positive thing. Bullshit, on the other hand, is a lack of concern for the truth. You just say stuff. You don't even know what the truth is. You're just going to throw things at the wall and see what sticks. Apparently bullshit. But this is what's going on right now, and this seems to be the epidemic that we need to deal with. In my field, James Fradel wrote an article called Rhetoric and Bullshit, in which he gives a different definition. He says that bullshit happens when we use big words to hide the fact that we don't know what we're talking about, right? We know people like this. For example, if I were to tell you the amalgamation of a pair of dyads will indubitably result in the fabrication of an ictularis punctatus. That sounds profound, right? You're not going to question my credibility if you hear something like that. Do you know what I said? I said 2 + 2 = fish. That makes no sense. It works here, but in real life, that makes no sense whatsoever. All right? That's the bullshit that Fradel's talking about. But this really leads me to ask a question. Who's at fault for bullshit? The bullshitter or the bullshittee? The bullshitter is somebody we usually trust, but he tricks us with big words or lack of a concern for truth, for his own purposes or the purposes of other people. That's not honorable. There's no virtue in that. Shouldn't we at least frown upon the kind of person who does that? But at the same time, shouldn't we know better? Shouldn't we think critically enough to notice bullshit when we see it? Shouldn't we refine our bullshit detectors to the point where the bullshitters cannot trick us? Some people say bullshit is inevitable. We can't get away from it. So maybe the onus is on us to know it when we see it. I take both questions pretty seriously when I'm teaching. I want to instill in my students not just the ability to evade using bullshit themselves, but also the ability to notice it when they see it in their research, especially online research, all right? A bastion of bullshit. In my scholarship, I've come to realize that there is a connection between empowerment and bullshit. That is to say that the more disempowered somebody feels, the more inclined they are to bullshit, because they have no real faith in their ability to discern the available means of persuasion, or they just don't know what they're talking about, right? So I urge you to evade bullshit. Google Taurus-Gaddics. Think critically, empower yourself, deputize yourselves as the bullshit police. Because if bullshit is a crime, we're in the wild, wild west. And that is no bullshit. Thank you.